There's no such thing as a sure thing in this city. And yet, oddly enough, this weekend, it seemed like there was always the likelihood that Mercedes were going to win this race. They topped every practice session. They topped qualifying. And of course, they won the Grand Prix. George Russell, peerless, perfect. His best ever win in Formula One. And Lewis Hamilton rising from 10th to 2nd. And Max Verstappen taking his 4th consecutive Drivers' World Championship. So much to talk about here in Las Vegas, and we're going to run through it all on your post-race show. Welcome, folks, to the paddock here in Las Vegas. Welcome to James Hinchcliffe, and welcome, of course, to you. Here we are. Hinch, what a race, what a drive. Peerless, dominant performance by George Russell. We never saw him on the broadcast. He was that far up the road.
Yeah, it's one of those bittersweet things for a driver, right? You dominate so much, you don't get to watch the race back on TV like they were talking about up in commentary. But no, absolutely incredible. We weren't sure what to expect coming into the race, but he absolutely did what he had to do and delivered, as did this guy here.
Yeah, Yuki, great race. Congratulations. P9 at the flag. The new suit, new livery did wonders for you guys this weekend. I don't think it was that. I think it was you. You made the difference.
Thank you.
Mate. Great drive.
I think it went well with this livery. I think initially it thought looks like a Buzz Lightyear, you know, the Toy Stories. But at least this race I became like a Buzz, right? I think I maxed out every laps. Pretty happy with my race. To be honest, a bit frustrated that got overtaken by Haas, teams that we're fighting for championship. But I would say I take it, yeah.
You are, though, only 3 points behind Alpine now, so the points that you've brought today helping you move up. I mean, it's so tight.
Yeah, very tight.
So tight. But all those points count.
Definitely. I mean, unfortunately, Pierre, got an engine issue. If he didn't have that engine issue, he was definitely in the mix. And I'm sure Alpine will fight strong in next 2 races as well. So, yeah, it's going to be really, really tough fights. And Qatar, also one of the probably race that we have to really, really focus, because last year we didn't really do well there. So, yeah. But if we perform like today, I think there's a chance. So we do what we can do.
Yeah, it's the second race in a row here in Vegas where there's a lot of action on track. You had some great wheel-to-wheel battles. How much fun did you have out there?
I mean, the situation I overthinking the cars a lot, I will enjoy. But defending quite a lot, and especially every laps, every corner is always on the on the edge, being close to the wall. It's a nice feeling, but at the same time, very, I would say, stressing. But at the same time, definitely I enjoy the battle with Nico. We respect each other, and we did really, really well. Excited to battle coming races.
You had one of the most unexpected moments of the race when you got a bit of airtime in the in the pit lane. What happened there?
Oh,
it was a polystyrene block, and off you went.
Shit my pants. It's like, I don't know.
Apologies.
Apologies. I mean, especially when you smash the board and the car's on the air. You just do that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I nearly go to the wall. So, that was the moment I really, no,
Brown flag at pit exit.
Exactly.
Yes, okay.
I love that.
We'll move on from that. Yuki, as you said, next couple of races, it's all that's left in the season. They're going to be tough for you guys, but there's still so much to play for in the Constructors' Championship. On the basis of this weekend and the pace that you had, how much confidence can you take through into those races?
Yeah, I think this week we kind of wanted on the edge, I would say, overall. Started pretty rough, and if we stayed like that, we wouldn't even score points today. So, we need a better car from FP1 already to build the confidence more stronger. And especially we fighting like this close, that's kind of milliseconds in the last one is very important. So, yeah, we focus again, but I think what we've shown today, we create extra confidence that we can fight for the coming races. So, yeah, we stay focused and we maximum attack for the next 2 races.
Lovely stuff. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Well done,
Cheers.
Yuki.
Take care.
Take that from you. Thanks very much. Lawson, let's move on to his teammate.
Let's do it.
Elbows out. Quite a feisty race from Liam today. It seems to always be with Checo, doesn't it?
Well, it was Magnussen, the one that I thought was really interesting.
That was
great,
that
was incredible. Look, these two, I think Jolene even said it on the broadcast, 2 of the most aggressive drivers, 2 of the best passers, 2 of the hardest defenders as well. a lot of side-by-side through these concrete walls, but a lot of respect. They gave each other the room. They both came out in one piece. It was good hard racing from both guys. It was fun to watch.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss Kev next year. He always gets his elbows out. But yeah, lovely racing between those two today. Liam Lawson ultimately finishing P16. It was a really topsy-turvy race in terms of who was where, when, who had pitted when, and then found themselves in the mix or not. At one point, it looked like Zhou Guanyu was going to score points, was sitting there nicely around the top 10, but it turned out he was just waiting for his opportunity to pit and came in, and he ultimately finished right down in P14. But it was such a topsy-turvy race, just trying to figure out who was where and why.
And it was trying to figure out the strategy as well, right? I mean, we went into it on paper thinking this could be a one-stopper. That is the fastest in theory, but it quickly became obvious that certain cars were going to have to do the two-stop, but then we didn't know if some cars were going to roll the dice and try to do the one-stop, a la Leclerc in Monza, a la Russell at Spa. Ultimately, nobody did, but you never were quite sure where it was all going to shake out. Lawson at one point running one position behind Yuki. He was right up there in the points, ultimately fell out. So tough for the team because, again, they are in that tight battle still for P6 and the constructors. Haas up there with Nico, but Yuki did his job to get some points.
And critically, the points that Haas brought home today with Nico Hulkenberg have moved them back ahead of Alpine in the Constructors' Championship. That's okay. Let's talk Mercedes. Let's talk George Russell, Lewis Hamilton. They took that decision early on in the weekend to scrub the hard tires, knowing they were going to need them. They seemed to have the tires in exactly the window that they wanted them, that they needed them. Even the medium that they started on, they were able to run for longer than anyone else. They just had it. They had it all in their grasp the whole day.
Cold tracks just suit this car.
Yeah, it really does.
You look back, it was cold at Spa. They were 1-2 on track. Obviously, there was the disqualification for George. You think back to Silverstone, George didn't finish, but he started on pole. Lewis won the race. It seems to be when it's cold, the car's good for both of them. They both perform. And, I spoke to the tire engineer from Mercedes on the grid, and he's like, look, I've got to be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen. We're not sure what the hards are going to do. We're not sure what the grading is going to be like. But ultimately, the car was in the right window. Both drivers did exactly what they had to do to take care of the tires, both the mediums and the hards. And it was a brilliant race from the team.
If you like your statistics, that is the 60th time in Formula One history the Mercedes have scored a 1-2 in a Grand Prix. And their scoring a 1-2 today marks the only occasion in Formula One history that 4 separate teams have taken a 1-2 in a Grand Prix.
And the only time that 4 teams have had at least 4 wins on the season.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. This is one of the most incredible seasons of Formula One racing in history. And we're not done.
Yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Hamilton today, phenomenal. Just that run at the end of wickedly quick laps, particularly when he was sort of a second a lap quicker than George and cutting that gap back. I mean, perhaps George just, doing all he needed to do, but Lewis, as you're saying, just punching it in at the end. It was great.
I think it was the other way around. I think George was driving to a lap time or a level, a percentage to make sure the tires lasted. Lewis thought, nah, I'm going to push 100%, let the tires do what they're going to do. He closed the gap 5 seconds of that 10. Ultimately ran out of pace at that point, just used too much of the tire trying to get there. So it was a bit of a balancing act, and easy for George to kind of panic maybe and try to put the hammer down, overuse his tires, but to come from 10th without any safety car, interference, without a VSC, without anything like that, not a lot of retirements either, just Pierre Gasly, the only car that started in front of him that didn't finish. Unbelievable.
And exactly as Toto said yesterday after qualifying.
Yeah.
Exactly what Toto predicted. Completely nailed it. The 36th different racetrack that Lewis Hamilton has been on a podium at. The man is relentless.
Yes, and it's great to see. It's great to see drives like that. It just shows you when Hamilton's got a car that he believes in, he can still drive like Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world. No shelf life on that,
No shelf life on that. There was, however, a shelf life on the tire life for the Ferraris. Just dropped away so much faster than anyone was expecting. Leclerc was going for the lead, and then bam, he's dropped away to nothing.
I think it just shows you how precise you have to be with bringing the tires in. Yeah. I think in that first stint, Charles pushed so hard trying to get around George. You saw how rapidly he fell down from Carlos. It was an immense drop in pace almost immediately. If anything, that was a warning for every other driver. I bet you there were a lot of messages to drivers from pit wall saying, take care of the tires, build them up slowly. If you push too hard too fast, that grading is going to be even worse. Look, they've had really good race pace the second half of the year, and I'll put my hand up. I thought they were going to have better race pace than Mercedes. Obviously not the case, but still salvaging, a 3-4. That was what they needed to do given the pace of the Mercedes.
The expectations on race pace that we had garnered from practice proved to be completely the opposite of what played out today. We expected Ferrari and McLaren to have the best race pace. McLaren's race pace was hideous today, absolutely awful. And Ferrari was nowhere near as consistently good as we'd expected. I think last stint, they came on song, maybe having looked after the tyres a little bit more, but you're right, those first two stints of the race, tyres dropped off. Huge graining. Why do you think there is that disparity between what we saw in practice, or what we think we saw in practice, and what we saw in the Grand Prix today? Because it wasn't that much warmer today.
No, it wasn't, and it happened on the medium tire, which they had run in practice. Yeah. It's not like the hard just threw a curveball to certain teams. The teams, even though they've never run the hard this weekend, they have an offset that they understand. They've run this compound many other places, so you know roughly what it should do. But I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if Mercedes made some changes based on what they saw in their long running on Friday and made the car even better. But it was in a completely different class today.
And just as an example, again, of Lewis being dialed in and having that confidence that he was going to make those positions up, when he came out behind all the guys that hadn't stopped and was worried about how we've lost so many places because he didn't realize quite where he was within the structure of everything. Great race. And as you said, just a brilliant performance from Mercedes to make the right choices. And again, Hinch, because we've seen this so much this year, to not make those mistakes from Friday into Saturday, or Thursday into Friday here, between practice 2 and practice 3, to actually keep that car in that very narrow window.
And across both cars, too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll have one car that makes some changes that don't work, and the other car, and the difference between the two grows as the weekend goes on. So, no, it was excellent execution, obviously, from the team, from both guys. And it's funny, I mean, you look at that drive, and we're praising and complimenting Hamilton on that drive, but you look at him afterwards in the car, the cool-down car, furious. Yeah, furious with himself for what happened in qualifying.
He knew.
Because whether he had pole or not, he had a front row car, top 3 car at worst. And from there, based on what we saw today, it would have been a much more interesting race up front. It was an interesting race, but up front, George would have had a much harder time had Lewis started up there based on what we saw.
Let us talk now then about our 4-time world champion Max Verstappen, who joins Fangio. He joins Prost. He joins Schumacher, Vettel, Hamilton. Now Max, only the 6th driver in Formula 1 history to have taken 4 titles like Vettel, 4 consecutive for his first 4, and again with Red Bull. I mean, are there any plaudits left that we've not poured on that guy this weekend? Because we've been effusive with it, because he has been, for me, the best he's ever been this year. But to take that car, and again with the result today, grinding out the result, but doing exactly what he needed to do in finishing ahead of his only championship rival.
It's something that we're seeing from both him as a driver and from Red Bull as a team. They have not had the fastest car for quite a while now, for 3/4 of the season almost. But time and time again, they just do everything they can with the package they have. They maximize. They're not making strategic errors. Max isn't making driving errors. Think about here. They were, 10 kph down in the straights when we came here on Friday? Literally drilling,
the rear wing out.
The rear wing, the top element out to try to get some of that speed back. Whatever it was enough. All they had to do was finish ahead of Lando. That's what they did. And you look, Max in the top 5. Checo's still further down, so it's showing you again just what he is able to do, what that team is able to do. So just massively impressive. I don't think there's any adjectives left that we haven't given him already. And
persistent, determined,
calculated, cunning. It's incredible.
I mean,
divine.
You find a superlative, and it applies.
I need a thesaurus. I'm out.
Okay,
but it's well-deserved, and it's been incredibly fun to watch this year.
He has.
And he can kind of go on cruise control now.
But he won't.
No,
of
course he won't.
He wants to win the last 2. But I tell you what, I mean, we talk about cruise control. Red Bull are still there or thereabouts in the Constructors. What is interesting is that while my prediction that Ferrari would leave here in the lead of the Constructors' Championship hasn't come to pass, the gap is down to 24 points. You go to Qatar next week. I'm having a week off. There's a sprint. There's more points on offer. Then there's the Grand Prix. Then there's Abu Dhabi. There's a long way left to run in terms of points to be won. And that Constructors' Championship is finally held in the balance.
Absolutely, but I think it's safe to say it's down to a 2-horse race. I mean,
yeah.
Max is doing what he can, but you see, the Mercedes are 1 and 2, the Ferraris are 3 and 4, Max is 5th, Checo's not in the points. You can't do it with one guy, and the third fastest car. So it's safe to say we're down to a 2-horse race there. From months ago, people thought that Vegas was going to be a Ferrari favored track over McLaren. It was. Mercedes ruined the plan a little bit, and as Julian was pointing out, took a big chunk of points, potential points away. But Qatar is probably going to be more of a McLaren track. So if they can have a strong race there, it makes them look very good going into Abu Dhabi.
But that's the thing with this season. Circuits where we've expected, or they've expected, like McLaren have said, oh, we're not going to be good at this track. Bum, quickest. And where they've said, oh, this track should be good for us. Not there. It's the unexpected nature of this season that has enthralled me the most, because it's never turned out quite as you expect.
No, it's 100% right. And that's what makes it so good. That's what makes it so much fun. I love that the engineers can't tell you going into a race what the top 8 are going to be, which unfortunately has been the case sometimes in Formula One. This season has just been so unpredictable.
You go to the engineers or the drivers and say, why were you so quick today? I don't know. All of that, Ariana Bravos with Christian Horner.
Christian, a huge congratulations first and foremost. Just tell us how special and how much sweeter this one feels, because it's been hard fought.
This has been the toughest, or since 21 certainly, and we started off very strongly. We came out of the blocks quickly, but then the others started coming back at us over the summer, and McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, they all had moments in time where they looked very competitive, but Max never lost his head. He led from the front in the car, and on the days that we haven't had the quickest car, he's extracted above and beyond performance-wise, and I think he's just been head and shoulders above the opposition this year and done an incredible job.
What has it been like behind the scenes in the camp this year as you've had these battles and these ups and downs? What has the mood been like? Because I know there's lots of media noise around it, but give us an insight.
Well, look, I think it galvanizes the team, and what I've really felt within the team this year is, we've had a fight on our hands, and it's galvanized the team. It's brought the team much closer together, and the hours that go in behind the scenes in Milton Keynes, the long nights, the early mornings, the weekends. The commitment has been phenomenal, and this success is their success as well, and it's something everybody can be very proud of.
And looking at the race specifically today, what do you make of how it all played out on both sides of the garage?
It was an interesting race. I mean, it got off to a reasonable start. We looked competitive on the medium, on the first set of hards as well. We looked reasonable, and then we had a little bit of graining on that last set, and Ferrari started coming back at us. I just don't think Max wanted to take any risk, and the objective was to beat Lando today, and we did that pretty comfortably. So to see him crowned a 4-time world champion was very special.
Well, enjoy celebrating tonight. There's no better place to do it, Christian. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Big celebrations in Vegas tonight. Jack, where are you going? Are you going to go to the Max Verstappen party or to the Mercedes party?
No comment.
Okay, Jack's going to both. Welcome, Jack Aitken, back to the show. Jack, you're back to familiar ground. It's a post-race show, the place where you made your home here. We're very happy to have you back. We were just about to talk about McLaren because we expected them to have the race pace today. They didn't. They dropped off. Both Lando and Oscar especially today were nowhere near as competitive as we'd expected. Yeah. What can you see as the reason behind that?
I don't know. It's a bit of a mystery. They started the weekend so well. I really thought that they were going to be in the fight for victory, and they just never showed up. For sure, it didn't help that I think there was a bit of frustration from Lando's part after qualifying. You could see that in some of the comments he was making yesterday, but just never seemed to be at risk of threatening Verstappen for that, extending that championship battle.
But the fact Hinch, they went for the fastest lap at the end. They recognize clearly every point is going to count in this Constructors' Championship battle.
Well, look, we've talked so much already about how close this season's been, how unexpected the results can be at a given track, and so you have to do that, don't you? I mean, it's every point absolutely counts. You've got to play the strategies right. You know, you got to make sure both cars are maximizing, and luckily, Lando had that massive gap to Oscar for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I guess Oscar had his penalty at one point, right? But yeah, I mean, you have to do that kind of stuff.
Meanwhile, Ferrari, while they, cut the gap back to McLaren today, they were not perfect. They were far from perfect. Carlos, with that bizarre moment in the middle of the race when he said, pit me, just get me out of the way of Charles and pit me, they executed a driver swap on track, then called him in, then made sure to confirm to call him in, and then said, oh, no, we're not ready. I mean,
I would love to see the full radio transcript of that, because we don't always get all of the radio transmissions coming live over the air, and there's a few missing pieces there. Something for sure was not right. I found it quite a bizarre decision for Carlos to effectively take a 100% nailed-on penalty to cut across the track like that. Pretty dangerous move. Even though the team were telling him no, the safe thing to do really was to stay where he was and go into pit lane. So it felt a bit erratic.
Also, I don't think Charles very happy after the checkered flag from what I've seen in the transcripts of his radio afterwards. Not happy with the team, their decision-making today. So a little bit of needle at Ferrari to resolve before Qatar. Esteban Ocon, I think, as well, just straight-lined the pits at one point. Didn't see the board.
Went through. I thought the team wasn't ready.
I think the team were not there.
Yeah, he just drove through and there was no. But this is the weird part, right? You drive in, you see that they're not ready. Surely it's still faster to park and let them run out than essentially do a drive-through penalty.
It's terrible either way, though, isn't it?
yeah, that's a great
There's
point.
no good solution there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, his teammate, Pierre Gasly, of course, retiring from the race today, his anguished radio message as he retired, and I think we can hear from him. No, we can't, but we're going to discuss it.
Well, okay. What a kick in the pants. I mean, such a great job in qualifying. And, you heard that frustration in his voice when he started complaining about the power. And it's interesting. I mean, the driver often knows before the engineers do, don't they? Because you can feel something in the back of the seat. And to have the engine go and lose that opportunity, it's just such a bummer.
Yeah, and after the difficult season that they've had, yes, they had a fantastic result in Brazil, but they would have loved to have another strong result here to finish the year on a proper high. And it just feels like a bit of an unjust end to the season for them. I felt really sorry for them.
And folks at home will be amazed by this, because we talk so often about the reams, the terabytes of data that is drawn from the hundreds of sensors on a Formula One car that is sent straight back to the base at home. And in race control at home, everyone's poring over the data, just trying to check for any slight anomaly that will tell them that something's going to go on the engine. But it's still down to you guys in the seat to actually go, guys, engine's about to go. And they're like, no, everything's fine, and then bang.
Best sensor in the car is still the driver.
Is it? What is it? Is it your foot? Is it your butt?
It's the butt.
It's the butt, yeah. It's the butt in the back. You feel it through the seat. You hear it. Sometimes you hear things before you even feel them. It's
sometimes you don't even know what you felt, right?
Yeah.
You get a sense of like, oh, something's not right.
Something's different.
It can be hard to pinpoint exactly where you felt it from, whether it's a vibration, a noise, a feeling, but you're so attuned to those cars, especially these guys who are doing so many laps in the season these days. As soon as something's not right, you feel it.
Fascinating stuff. We can now hear from Pierre Gasly.
Hey Pierre, just sum up how frustrating it is to have to retire the car for such a strong qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, it's a very tough one to take because we had such a high yesterday, and obviously today was possibly the wrong outcome possible. So I think we did well. We knew the cars around us at the start were faster, so Max and the McLaren, Norris and Hamilton got past us. But then I think we were on for a good fight with Yuki for best of the rest to fight for some important points for the championship. And it's just very disappointing from one day to another to have this ending.
I know it's probably a tough moment to try and look for the positives, but it has just generally been a good weekend in terms of pure performance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty pleased with the performance. Even like right now it's more frustration, but obviously it's been very, very positive yesterday. I think today, as I mentioned, we're in the fight with Haas and AlphaTauri, and hopefully we can carry that on into Qatar. Now we just need to get out of this place and already focus on next week. But obviously we had quite high hopes for the race, and it's just a pretty tough one to swallow now.
Hard luck, thanks.
Hard luck indeed for Pierre Gasly, and indeed for Alpine, because guys, Nico Hulkenberg, brilliant drive today up to P8, moves them ahead of Alpine in the Constructors. It's so tight down there in the Constructors' Championship, P6, P7, P8, but a brilliant drive again from Nico Hulkenberg, which was, the foundation of which was another heroic qualifying performance from him.
Yeah, just quietly got on with it, picking people off, using the pace of that Haas, which we knew from the FP sessions was fast over a long run. And no mistakes, no ill-judged moments. Every time I saw him on screen, it was a simple pass, straightforward. So, just kept it clean.
Great job from Hulkenberg. We can hear from him.
Managed to make some progress in the race today and some good points for the team. Just sum up how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, exactly that. Very pleased. P8, I think, was the best we could achieve today. 5th best team. So very happy about that. Clean race, good execution. As expected, it was very challenging on the tire side with graining on the front axle especially. So I think that kept everyone occupied and busy. But we came through that well and offset ourselves a little bit to our main competition, and I think that worked well, and the pace was also decent.
I guess, was it particularly satisfying to be able to have the pace to get ahead of Yuki? You had a bit of a battle with it beforehand, and that must bode well for the last couple of races, and that tight battle for P6.
Yeah, we're close. I mean, I think we had a small edge over them today, but not much. It is, tight. But it was good fun battling with him for a couple of laps. He was defending well down to turn 14 down the strip. They had really fast and good straight line speed and good traction out of 12. So it was, it took me a couple of goes, but it was cool, good and fair racing.
Great stuff. Thanks, Nico.
Decent result then for Haas. Hard day, hard weekend once again for Williams. They managed to rebuild Colapinto's car, but Albon retired on the 26th lap. Disappointing for him, a power unit issue, taking him out of the race. Let's talk Sergio Perez, finished P10. Some nice moves, including that double overtake. Hinch, you were particularly excited about that. It was...
Well, yeah, because you weren't looking at the screen at the time. I had to hit you, and you were on your phone or something.
I was coming back from the...
Oh, is that what it was? Coming back from a pit stop. Well, yeah. Either way, it was a phenomenal move. Very decisive. Look, when you're in that double draft, you know what it's like. You've got two cars that are trying to pass each other, and you've got this massive head of steam, and you think, do I go for it? Do I try to do it? Credit to him. Got both. Gave enough room to... Is that Yuki on the outside, or is that Lawson? Whatever one. So the V carb on the outside. Tricky thing to pull off.
The thing that was impressive with Perez was there was one point in the race where we were watching him and we were like, we're halfway through the race and he's made up
one spot.
He's made up. Well, yeah.
He made up two, but Gasly had gone out.
One of them was Gasly's retirement.
Yeah.
And you were like, is he actually going to make the positions up? So solid second half of the race from him. Right, we've spoken about Lando Norris. Today was the day when he... any hopes that he had of winning the World Championship well and truly put to bed. Not his year, not his day either, but I think he can hold his head up pretty high this year in 2024. How's he feeling after the Las Vegas Grand Prix?
Hey, Lando, I know you would have known it was going to be tough to keep the championship alive. Come in here, just kind of sum up how you're feeling right now that it's over, even though you've had a mega season, you were fighting for a world title.
Yeah. I mean, I'll start off by saying congrats to Max. Yeah, I'm disappointed that I'm out of it, but Max deserved to win it. He drove a better season than we did and than I did. And yeah, he deserved it more than anyone else. Max just doesn't have a weakness. When he's got the best car, he dominates, and when he's not got the best car, he's still just there always, and always there to make your life tough and difficult, So he drove a very good year, and yeah, can't fault him. So that's about it, this weekend's been dreadful from us. So we couldn't even put up a fight against Max, and that's something I would have loved to have done today. But yeah, congrats to him for what he's achieved.
Even if it has been a dreadful weekend, you've got another fight on your hands from a team perspective, and you minimise the damage, at least got the fastest lap. You're doing what you can, at least, on a bad weekend.
Yeah.
It's very Max-esque, I think that is.
I don't know, but you know, I think we had to get everything out of it today. Every point's going to matter, I think, by the end of the season, especially because Ferrari are performing very well. But I'm hoping this weekend's a little bit more of an anomaly for us, and we kind of return a bit more back to our usual the next few weekends. I don't think our usual is quickest necessarily. I think it's between us, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, like everyone, no one knows who's going to be on top next weekend or the weekend after. So exciting for you guys, stressful and makes our life tough, and mine behind the wheel, but we'll keep fighting. We have to. I think it's very much alive still. I'm confident we can still do it. It's just not going to be easy by any means.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Lando.
Yeah, McLaren do still have a battle on their hands if they are going to take their first Constructors' Championship in a quarter of a century, Jack. The words out of Lando there. He knows it, they know it.
Yeah, and it's coming down to be an epic, almost four-way battle. You know, we still don't know who's going to have the pace advantage in these final races. And like Lando was saying, they feel like they've lost that edge potentially over their competitors. You know, it really could be anyone.
And here's the thing, Mercedes aren't in contention for the Constructors' Championship, and yet they've had the fastest car this weekend and are taking big points away from the guys that are in that championship fight.
That's just it. They're the kind of the wrench in the plans, right? I mean, if you're Ferrari or McLaren, you're kind of judging each other and where you're going to be at a given track, and nobody was really expecting that to be thrown in there. So it does. It throws a complete wrench in it, which is something that is exciting for us, so frustrating for the teams and for the drivers, but hey, it makes good racing.
Right, let's hear from our top three drivers today. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz and the Mercedes duo, Lewis Hamilton, P2, and George Russell, your race winner.
Hey, Carlos, well, congratulations on fighting back to get a podium after what was a difficult race and some difficult decision-making, I think, in that race.
Yeah, very tricky race. First of all, and most importantly, I don't think we had the pace. Whenever we were pushing to try and keep up the pace of the Mercedes, we were opening the graining, and it meant that we just couldn't push today. As a team in the car, was just simply generating too much graining on the tires. And then from there onwards, timing of the pit stops, the execution, I think we've been very good all year with those things, but today wasn't our day. We lost too much race time on the first pit stop. We pitted 1 lap too late. We pitted 2 laps too late on the second, with the mess with Charles letting by, and with the mess of the pit entry. It was just not our day in that sense, but I don't think it could have changed much the final result.
Hey Lewis, you were saying yesterday that you thought it might be quite difficult for where you were starting on the grid, but that was a heck of a race to fight back. Just talk me through how good it was to have a car to go after this race today.
Yeah, I think it's the first, wow. Of course we had a couple of races like Spa and Silverstone, but it's like maybe only the third race where we felt like that. But today it really felt great out there, and I had a long way to come back from after a poor effort yesterday, and if I qualified the way I should have, it would have been a long way. Been in a nice place today.
I bet. Just a quick word on Max as well. Obviously won 4 titles in a row now. You know what that feels like. Just sum up the achievement that he's achieved.
Yeah, congratulations to Max. He's not really had a lot of competition obviously in the last few races. He's done a fantastic job. He's done what he needed to do, but they've done an amazing job as a team, and it's been great to see the progression of like McLaren's pushing them and them being so close. But Max held his own, and he's done a phenomenal job. So congrats to him.
Great, thanks, Lewis. Hey George, congratulations. I don't think you just won that race, you decimated it. You must be so pleased with how today went.
Over the moon, what a weekend. And totally unexpected, which makes it even sweeter. And it's not the first race we've been leading this year, so I was just waiting for, the safety car, a red flag, rain, a bloody tree flying onto the track, I don't know what. But it didn't happen, and I guess that fortunes have turned It just so happened also with Lewis in P2. What a result.
And just a quick word on Max, gets his 4th world title today. It's been a heck of a year where you guys have got 2 wins each. I think 7 drivers have got 2 wins each. It's been competitive, and yet he still kind of got out on top.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite understand the question.
Just mainly just the kind of performance that Max has delivered this year. It's been so competitive this year. Other teams have been in the mix as well. It hasn't been that kind of walkover as it's been.
No, I mean,
recently.
you know, obviously starting off the first 6-7 races, he won every one except for the DNF he had. So it looked like they were going to run away with it once more, but you know, McLaren came into the mix, and you start to think, you know, McLaren have got the quickest car now, but you know, they obviously, yeah, Max just did the job when he needed to, and that's why Max is the champion this year, even though for most of the season he's not had the best car. So, you know, I just want to make sure now that we get ourselves into that fight, because, you know, I feel ready for it.
Great stuff. Thanks, George. Congrats.
I don't know what I'm more impressed with, the performance of the Mercedes or the white puffer jackets of the Mercedes team this weekend. I like them. Or the shiny, sparkly suit of Ruth Buscombe-Davey. Ruth Buscombe-Davey joins the show. Mercedes-esque, actually.
Yeah, well, you know, I like to predict the winner, and, you know, I think the jacket is the girlfriend effect, which, you know, the ladies will know what that is, because very well dressed, I would say, by George Russell as well.
Right, talk to me about strategy, Ruth Buscombe-Davey. The race today, were you surprised to see the Ferraris drop off the way they did at the start, to see how those mediums fell off for so many, and how Mercedes were able to keep a hold of them? Were there any elements today that kind of surprised you from a strategic perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into the race, it was a question of we don't know. You know, no one had to run that hard tyre, and the criticality that made it a 1 or a 2-stop was that hard tyre going to grain? So everyone had to go in there and react and make the best of the situation. And what I thought the Mercedes did so well, not only did they have a quick car, they had 2 very quick drivers today, but actually the management of that race was stunning. You know, they were learning on the job. You could see all the teams were communicating to their drivers saying, right, we've seen this level of graining on the medium. We've actually seen on the competitors, there was 3 cars. There was Checo, there was Valtteri, and there was Colapinto that started on the hard tyre, and they could see that tyre was also graining. And they controlled that management. It was stunning. They had 0.14 seconds a lap of degradation on that medium tyre. Their competitors, Ferrari, 0.6 seconds a lap. They were 4 times better on deg. Stunning drive and stunning management by the team.
Sensational stuff. Right, we're going to hear from your 4-time world champion now, Max Verstappen.
Max, congratulations. It's been such a tough fight this year. We heard you on the team radio, never thought it was possible to get forward. Just sum up how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very challenging year. Of course, we had a great start to it, but basically where we started to struggle, we still have a very long way to the end. And yeah, anything was possible, but I think as a team we stuck together. We had a lot of challenging races, we had a lot of talks back at the factory as well, but we stayed calm, and I think that's the best way. We had a lot of pressure, but it seems like the team works very well under pressure. I think we can handle that very well. And we maximized a lot of results. I think even sometimes overperformed in places. Plus our competition also in places, they dropped a lot of points. So you also have to take that into consideration. And to win championships, you have to be as consistent as you can be.
Just a word on your title rival, Lando, as well. Saw you giving him a hug there and having a chat to him. Just what did you say to him? And it's been a great fight, hasn't it?
You know, we've had a lot of moments together, also off track. And of course, these things we discussed already. And I told him your time will come one day. You know, you have to be patient. Even at McLaren, when it was not going that well, I said, I know that you are capable of winning titles. Now this year, of course, there was that opportunity, and at one point it was looking like it was going to be a proper battle. And in the end, of course, we overturned it again to a bigger advantage. But yeah, they're close, and of course, it's looking like they're going to win the constructors. But we keep battling. You know, we have, I think, a lot of respect for each other. And of course, it's very nice that he just came back into the pen and congratulated me. And I think that's how it should be.
Nice touch. Thanks, Max.
Off to Qatar we go for the next race weekend, the penultimate race weekend of 2024. And it starts on Thursday with your weekend warm-up. Then we roll into practice 1, followed by sprint qualifying on the Friday. It is a sprint weekend. Your sprint race Saturday morning, qualifying for the Grand Prix in the evening, and the race at 7 p.m. local time. Guys, some nice comments there from Max Verstappen, really praising Lando Norris and the fight that he put up this year. And let's not forget, it's a year in which Lando won his first Grand Prix, and also as a result of that, fighting for a world championship for the first time. But nobody has been able to hold a candle to Max Verstappen. Your thoughts on the man crowned a 4-time world champion today, Jack Aitken?
I mean, he just continues to impress me with his bad days, you know, and that's why they say the championships are made of. But he really embodies that, and it's so impressive every time that we see him come out on a weekend like this, and it's challenging circuit, challenging conditions, and he doesn't really put a foot wrong. He just doesn't give that opportunity to Norris to capitalize on mistakes. So I think he's a worthy winner. It would be interesting to see if anyone can topple him going into next year.
I love that philosophy, that he's been most impressive on his bad days. That really rings true. Ruth, you know Max incredibly well. What do you make of the driver that he's become this year? How have you seen a change in him, or is this the Max that you've always known?
I mean, I think that drive in Brazil made the 2016 drive that we all talk about, you know, in terms of wet racing, look a bit average. So, you know, I think certainly driving at the best level he's ever been. I think it is honestly simply lovely, stunning, well-deserved. But honestly, it's so great we still have this constructors fight. And like, let's not forget, McLaren could potentially be winning for the first time in like 25 years, isn't it? Nearly?
Or they could lose both, Hinch. Let's wait and see. Some words on our 4-time champ.
Don't say stuff like that, man. Don't do that, commentators, curse. I mean, look, I think over the last however many Grand Prix I've been a part of this crew, there's not much more you can say, or I can say, about Max. It's just been such an impressive season. Completely echo what Jack said. Your best worst finish is often something that makes a champion. You have to have the best worst finish of the other guys on the grid. Obviously, you take Australia out of it, nothing he could do there. But even when they don't have the car, they perform. Max said it himself. He even acknowledges that it's the other teams dropping a lot of points, and that's just what they don't do. They never did it, even when they didn't have the car, even when they didn't have the situation, when the cars were stacked against them, executed every time, maximized every time. Super deserving. Phenomenal season from a phenomenal generational talent. That is your lot, folks, from here in Las Vegas. Teams moving on now to Qatar, the penultimate weekend of this 2024 season. We hope you will join us there. Just 2 rounds remain in this incredible season, and the Constructors' Championship is still up for grabs. Thank you so much for joining us here in Las Vegas. Join us in Qatar in a couple of days' time.
Welcome to the Lusail International Circuit.
The Qatar Grand Prix is go! Max Verstappen leads, Hamilton got the launch off the line, round the outside, he's hit his teammate!
Racing under the lights.
Russell around the outside. Oh, Perez off the road, he's in the gravel. And Max Verstappen, he is champion of the world!